Greetings and once again welcome into Recruiting Hot Topics. I'm Channel 2 Sports Director Zach Klein. That's Michael Carvell, the recruiting blogger extraordinaire with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And Michael, I guess the big news this week was that the Georgia Bulldog lost one of their top recruits. No longer going to the Bulldog Nation. His name, Dontavius Russell, the big defensive tackle from Carrollton. Now, he backed off his pledge to Georgia. Why? What is the latest deal with this situation?
Zach, it's the same story with so many of these kids that commit early and have second thoughts. Dontavius felt like he rushed his decision when he committed to Georgia last April. Over the past few months, the big guy has gotten lots of love from mostly Auburn, but also Florida State. And this week, Dontavius decided that he wanted to shop around some more, so he officially decommitted from Georgia. It had been rumored for weeks.
And when we say shop around, you don't mean shop around. You mean just take his time and get some other stuff out there. All right. Is this a huge blow for Georgia? Obviously, they had their sights set on him, but he did commit or pledge his allegiance in April. But so much time has passed since then. They have any idea what's coming along?
Yeah, it hurts. There's no doubt about that. Dontavius Russell is one of the state's top 10 players, so you never want to lose a big-time talent like that. But the good news for Georgia in this situation, if there is any, is that it happened in early December rather than a week before signing day. And because of that, Georgia has plenty of time to fill that spot with another quality player. And who knows, Dontavius may end up back with the Bulldogs, but I don't know about that.
All right, so if Dontavius Russell does not commit to Georgia, where do you think he signs? You mentioned that Auburn, Florida State, a few other programs after him. When it comes to mid-February, where's he going? Really, Knowles?
My guess is that Auburn is the front runner.
You can't be doing this. You can't be doing the tomahawk chop and then say Auburn's the front runner. You can realize that.
I was trying to provide some suspense for our viewers.
All right, that was good suspense. You got me there.
But there's a lot of excitement these days at Auburn after that miracle win over Alabama. Where were you when it happened?
I was pulling into a restaurant. You?
I was in Napa Valley.
Sipping wine. Nothing says college football like Napa Valley.
Hey, there's minors out there.
That's
I was
true.
sipping Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah, right.
But with Auburn, there's a family connection there for Dontavius Russell. His uncle played football for the Tigers, and one of his teammates at Auburn was a guy by the name of Rodney Gardner. Many Georgia fans know that name. Rodney is the former Georgia assistant, now at Auburn. And you know, Zach, recruiting is so much like the business world. When everything else out there is nearly equal, when you have to make a big decision, it almost always comes down to relationships. And Auburn has a good relationship here.
Yeah, it's a good family, interesting relationship there you bring out. You mentioned Rodney Gardner, 15 seasons an assistant for Georgia before going back and getting a big raise to attend the Tiger Nation last December. Michael, would you say maybe it's fair from a recruiting perspective that Rodney has been a thorn in Georgia's side since he left Athens?
Wow, you couldn't have said it better. Absolutely. Rodney Gardner has been killing it on the recruiting trail. And what's really amazing is that he has been able to convince top recruits that didn't have much interest in playing for him at Georgia to come play for him at Auburn. Guys like Carl Lawson, Montravius Adams last year, and some kids this year. And if you go to the Georgia message boards, they're not happy about it. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. I mean, it really bothers some people because it is recruiting and the stakes are so high. But I just think the biggest reason the former Georgia assistant Rodney Gardner is recruiting so well is because he got a big raise at his new job. And I just think that he, like anybody else in that situation, is motivated to prove that he deserves it. Sure. And believe me, he is proving it with his recruiting excellence. He is doing a great job at Auburn.
One last question for you, Michael. Georgia now has 5 decommitments from this year's recruiting class. Big picture, is this a problem Georgia fans should be worried about, or do they realize, hey, this is just the business of recruiting? You're going to pick up some recruits, but you're also going to lose some decommits over the months.
Yeah, on the surface, it appears to some people, or it may appear, to be a problem. Georgia's lost 5 recruits, but the truth of the matter is, this is how recruiting works these days. That's because all of these colleges, and not just Georgia, they recruit kids at a much earlier age. And when the kids commit early as high school sophomores or juniors, some of them are bound to change their mind as seniors. It happens everywhere. The good news, again, for Georgia here is that they lost these kids early and not a week before signing day, so the Bulldogs have plenty of time to find some good replacements. I'm sure Georgia will again finish with another top 10 class.
And just to reassure the Bulldog Nation, this is not Georgia, just Georgia, that is losing these commitments. It's happened to every big-time program across the country. Guys that pledged in April are decommitting in November and December.
We have a lot of decommitments coming up over the next 2 months.
All right, Michael Carvell from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. As always, thank you for your time. We'll see you here soon on Recruiting Hot Topics.